Hello and welcome to Tokyo Inklings. My name is CY. You can find me on my website at tokyostationpens.com, my Instagram at tokyostationpens, as well as my Twitter at tokyostationmnh.
My name is Jacob, and I'm Foodafan on Instagram and on Twitter, and have a blog at foodafan.com.
Hello, my name is Khuê, and you can find me on Instagram at miraicat.
And I'm Alesa, and you can find me on Inky Rocks on Instagram and YouTube.
So this is episode 19. I'm quite surprised we got here, to be honest, but I hope we can keep it strong. And thank you, everybody, for joining once again. This is actually kind of been a long time in the making. We haven't kind of really been able to meet and speak in at least a month, I think, because last time we were at Tokyo International Pen Show, it was kind of everything was in a hurry, so we didn't really actually like talk to each other during the show or even after it. So I'm really happy to be able to speak to everybody, and especially now Khuê is out of quarantine. She just came back from Switzerland, so we've got most of the people back together. So that's been really, really nice. But while we were away from speaking with each other, there's been a lot of developments in the, especially I think in the Japanese pen scene, which we'll get to later on. But before that, please let me read a review. I know Jacob hates it when I read reviews. He's really worried that people are going to give us bad reviews. And I have to say, there's only been one that's been really negative. And then somebody gave us a 3-star review, but I don't really understand because they didn't write anything. But let me read a review. Okay. So this review is by J. Jacob is Cool. Fountain pen fun. Always look forward to it every other week. That's it. That's the review.
Okay.
So thank you, J. Jacob is Cool. We really, really appreciate your review. Maybe I'll read another one because that one was so short. Patachan. Patachan writes, 5 stars, excellent updates on the Japan fountain pen scene. It's nice to get updates on the Japanese fountain pen scene from folks who live there. Always fun to listen. Thank you very much, Patachan. We really appreciate it, everybody here. And, we enjoy talking about this stuff, even just among us. We have a active chat group, maybe sometimes too active. But yeah, we hope to bring you more information.
Yep.
So thank you very much. You can also support the show by writing a review for us and putting it up on Apple Podcasts. That really helps us with the algorithms, and helps other people discover our content. So we'd really appreciate it if you do. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, any interesting acquisitions maybe from the pen show or elsewhere? I know I've got a lot of stuff.
You got us a lot of stuff.
I got you a lot. All right, so why don't you talk about yours first? Okay.
So you got me the Twinkle Stardust from Bungo Box.
Yeah.
With the zoom nib, but green to letter.
Yeah, I granted to a lettering nib.
Lettering nib, yeah. So it's very fun to play with, and
have you been enjoying it?
Yeah, a lot. I have to put some picture on Instagram, but I tested a lot, and it's a very nice nib, and very funny to make a Christmas card, for example.
Awesome.
The pen is really gorgeous. I can.
Look.
It's a very nice dark duck blue, petrol blue a bit, and with sparkle, and very nice. The nib is engraved with the little stars, so feel like really Christmassy. Yeah, I really enjoy it.
That's right, because Christmas in Japan starts on November 1st.
Yeah, just after Halloween.
Yes.
I have a question. What's a lettering nib?
So a lettering nib is what Pelikan used to make. It's their monoline nib. So it's basically got this huge tipping with a side chopped off. So it creates a monoline, I guess.
So it's like for monoline lettering.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
A lettering nib.
Yeah. So you've got it there. I'm sure. Is it okay for her to try it out? But
the difference with the monoline, I guess, that it doesn't have this round shape, right?
Well, it's not bent upwards.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes, we talked about monoline lettering a while back, right? And you were experimenting with us. What did you call it?
I called my first one the Mikazuki, which is bent upwards in a disc shape. So that's like a classic monoline dip nib shape.
Right. And then in the same context, we talked about the photos that fountain pen memes sent on this
Yes,
old
that's the
Pelican.
yes,
And-
exactly.
And what you're showing here is exactly that.
Exactly. Well, that kind of inspired me
Right,
to
right.
to do this. So that's that. Jacob, what's new?
Well, I've been doing a lot of catch and release, so most of what I bought is no longer in my possession. But I've been into sort of finer nibs, and the most extreme of them has been the Platinum's UEF
UEF.
nib. So as usual, I went to Mercari and I got one for a fantastic price, but the pen was in terrible shape, so I threw away everything but the nib,
Excellent,
And-
as we do.
as we always do, and I put the nib on a Moonman, which I thought was a great idea, but the problem is that the Moonman's feed is just too wet.
Yeah.
So the ultra extra fine becomes sort of fine, almost medium fine-ish. So it was an interesting experiment, but I may need to find another pen for this nib.
Well, I've got something interesting for you because I found this Chinese natami.
Natame, yes, with a Japanese sounding name.
Yes, and they're basically platinum
Yes,
copies.
except with nicer colors.
Yes, with nicer colors. And I found that they even have the slip and seal. So you can have this to play with, see if you can fit that nib in there. It's a natami. Yeah. So what did you get?
I had to look it up because I don't remember names when I buy pens. I got the Kawasaki from
Yes,
Denvercon
yes,
and
yes, yes.
Kobayashi, and it's got a soft medium Fuda nib by Nagahara, and it's I don't like Fuda nibs, but I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really that extra bounce in there makes a difference. I think probably for Fuda lover.
Yeah. So what do you use it for?
I actually, it's on my video because that's the part that I did film. Is like if you wanted to write like notes and then you wanted to like underline or bold something, if you press harder, it just gets bigger. So you don't have to like flip a pen up and down or whatever. So you can write normal and then like bold underline it or square around it,
Mhm.
put big dots next to it,
Yeah.
or whatever. So I think for a note taking pen,
Yeah, and that's one of the ones in the secret stash.
In Secret Stash, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting because I think we talked about on the tips episode about how they did a Fuda on the SM nib, I think, and that it didn't seem to make sense, but it was just sort of a bragging right. But thinking more about that, a Fuda nib is sort of meant to be like a brush-like, right? It doesn't actually make sense to make it softer. So maybe this is actually a good idea because we talked about this Taiwanese company. I can remember 3952 Bon Artec, whatever. They have these
Yeah.
titanium Fuda nibs, right? Probably the same idea to make
Yeah.
it softer, right? So maybe this is actually a good idea.
And I have found that my Pelican with my Fuda nib, which is a really really hard nib, the Pelican M800, versus my Sailor 21Ks. Actually, the Sailor 21Ks with a little bit of softness is actually a lot more pleasant to write with.
you can you can make a bolder line because you put it on the flat
Yeah.
line, right? But then if you press harder, it makes an even bigger, thicker line. So you can also do like a thick line to a thin line all in one without moving the angle of the nib because you just let up on the pressure. So it's kind of a weird flex nib going sideways instead of up and down.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying that.
Well, on my side, I've got a bunch of interesting things going on. First, I want to talk about this Kumiai pen that I got a few weeks ago. So this, I don't really know too much about this brand, but it's one of the plethora of random Japanese brands that appeared either pre-war or immediately post-war. So it's got this kind of pretty celluloid body here. And what I really love about it is that it's got these little sakura motifs all over the body. So on the clip, there's a sakura, and on the body, right next to Kumiai, there's a sakura as well. And for now, I've stuck a pilot nib in there because it came with a steel nib. And I'll probably plate this pilot nib into the correct shape. So it's a inkidome, so you probably need to undo the back before it starts writing. But so far, I've filled it with Pilot Iroshizuku Momichi. So, I think it's quite an apt ink for this pen. Try to pump it up.
Would you say this is the original color, or do you think this was like a bright red and white koi pattern?
I'm not sure. It might have been brighter. It might have been brighter. Honestly, I can't really say too much. This is really the first time I've come across this brand, but it is an interesting and cute pen. And I've also received some pens that I had stuck in the US. So I bought some pens in the US at the beginning of the year because I was supposed to, I was expecting to see my mother who lives in the US. She was supposed to come to Japan in April, and we all know how that went. So I've kind of just been buying and sending stuff to her address. And finally, she was in Taiwan just a few weeks ago. She managed to send me a kind of care package with all of the stuff that I had bought, and I've accumulated apparently a lot of stuff from her. So one of the interesting things that I got was this 146 diamond, and they released these pens a few years ago. I want to say about 10 years ish ago, um, where they've embedded a real diamond cut in the shape of the snow cap. Inside the pen, which I think is really, really interesting. And these are more common in 145s, so those are converter pens. But I got this, at a really nice price from a member of the Pen Addict Slack community, and that was really, really nice. And yeah, and I really like it. On top of that, I also got some vintage Mont Blanc, so I think I'm becoming a Mont Blanc collector.
You're becoming a
Jacob.
Mont Blanc collector. It's a new thing you're saying.
Yeah, I have 10 of these. So I've got now this 136. I've swapped the nib around, and it has a oblique italic nib. So the 136 is a flat top with a tie clip. And then I've got the 146 as well, also celluloid. And this has got a 80s. I think this would have been a medium nib, an 80s monotone medium nib, which I've plated. So those little telescopic babies are interesting as well. Um, Outside of that, though, I want to talk a bit about this pen case that I got. And this is actually part of my Taiwan haul. So I bought this from, I think, Just Spirit, and this is a 20 pen case.
Beautiful one.
Yeah, it's really nice because it's kind of like a clutch. You can hold it as a clutch, or you can hold it as a briefcase. And it's got this plushy interior, and it's just very convenient. I can take this around every day, and it's not really intrusive. It also kind of slips into my bag without being just a lump of space. So I really like that. But other than that, I got some auroras here and there, but there's really too much to talk about with everything that I got, so I won't bore everybody with the contents.
Are all of these inked?
Most of them are. But something I do want to talk about is this pilot pen that I bought off of Mercari recently. So Pilot last year, I believe, was their 100th anniversary. It was last year? Yeah, it was last year. No, 2018. 2018. Yeah, 2018 was their 100th anniversary, and everybody was speculating, oh, what's Pilot gonna do for their 100-year anniversary? Because 100 years, that's no laughing matter, right? Like none of us are 100 yet. So everyone was like, oh, what's Pilot gonna do? What's Pilot gonna do? And what they ended up doing, what people wanted them to do was to create a kind of colorful line of special products, maybe priced around the 74, maybe the 742 price range, and people wanted to buy those.
Yeah.
What they actually did was they released a bunch of urushi pens, which are like $700-800 each, and then they released a line of what I would consider
A rainbow.
less than spectacular inks.
rainbow like collection, but they have nothing
Interesting.
yet.
And then you had around the same time, I'm not sure if it was really anniversary models, but you had the new Pilot Custom NS, which I don't see anywhere else, which didn't seem very popular.
Yes, and that's a steel nib, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I managed to discover that Pilot actually made a vanishing point for their shareholders, and I bought one and sold one a few months ago. They had also, I think, some Kakanos which were special.
Yeah.
But this pen that I got in today is the Pilot 100th anniversary Custom 74. Now, there's several distinct things about this. The first thing is that you'll notice on the cap band that it's filled in. It's a black enamel filled in. So the black enameling usually starts at the XX3 model. So you have it on the 823, but you won't have it on the 742. Now Jacob is madly, frantically checking his pilots. Take it from me. I've bought a lot of pilots.
Sure.
So this one has the enameling, which kind of signifies a higher price point. Secondly, it's this nice demo blue color. I don't even know if this can be qualified blue. It's like this bluish purple color.
Yeah, gray,
Blue gray.
Blue gray.
The cap looks more gray.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on the nib, I think they only came in M nibs, and it says Pilot 100th M, and this is honestly just stunning. This was made. Inquisitive Quill says it was made for corporate events. I've also read that these were given only to stores, and they were not available commercially. And this is what everybody wanted for their 100th anniversary.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they made the pens. They just didn't release it out into the wild.
Yeah.
But you're shaking your head. Let us know. Let us know how you feel about this. Let Pilot know. I'm sure they're listening.
The thing is, it was a very bad move in the marketing. Because the collection, like the Urushi collection, is really nice, but no one can afford it. Or if you afford it, you will keep it in the box in a showroom, or like, you won't use this pen. I don't know, like it's like an artwork, but it's not everyday pen. So yeah, I think they made someone got fired maybe for that. It's everyday pen, very very chic, very very classy.
Yeah.
And the nib is very nice too with the 100. Yeah, shame on them.
So what do you think?
I think that's so very Pilot, though. I mean, if you look at it, Sailor and Platinum are doing all kinds of weird things and special editions and different colors. And I mean, look how many things you can do with a silly Pro gear,
Yeah.
And then for them to bypass this opportunity, just pretty much, well, kind of like your pen, isn't it? Black and gold.
Yeah, exactly. But this reminds me still of Platinum, because there was a similar story about Platinum, right? On their 100 years anniversary, they did this very expensive.
The Platinum.
The Platinum, the two versions of it, right? Very expensive. But then we discovered recently, just like 1 or 2 weeks ago, that on Mercari, as usual, that there was a regular 3776 with a special 100th anniversary nib.
Yes.
With even a serial number on the nib, right? And it turns out that one actually was available. I found it on Rakuten or Yodobashi, but they are almost unheard of. We didn't know about it, and I don't think it was ever sold outside Japan.
Yeah.
It's just not a very well-known model. But yeah, they did something similar, except that this Pilot is more interesting because they did something unusual with the barrel. It's a new barrel color, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's interesting that these kind of pop up after 1 or 2 years. It's like people receive these gifts and they're like, I shouldn't sell it immediately on Mercari because people know, and especially if you have a serial number, right? But yeah, and we saw 2 of these platinum nibs, and those nibs actually look gorgeous.
They do.
Yeah.
They don't have the hashtag, right?
Yes, because you know what? I think the serial number is a bit like out of place.
Yeah, because it's laser engraved, right? And the rest is
It's stamped.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it would have been better without the serial number, or maybe just the serial number on the pen body or cap as usual, right? So I
That
think
is kind of an interesting move, though, having a serial number.
yeah. But they must have had to like engrave each one of them. Imagine, I just don't understand why they do this. It's just like, yeah,
Just make a pretty color.
I don't understand. Yeah, but I thought this was interesting and might do a blog post about this. So, anything else we want to talk about in terms of acquisitions? If not, maybe we want to move to some news. There's been some news, and I think one particular one will be interesting to you, Alesa, because I know you've been very much into glass pens.
Yeah, but I mean, it's got its proper place. It's a lot of fountain pens.
We
Yeah.
have some drama in glass pen land.
Yes. So, are you aware of this glass pen drama?
Other than what you sent out.
Yeah. So, to summarize for our listeners what this glass pen drama is that we've talked about this Inkanuma phenomenon for several months.
Yeah.
I think it really from the beginning of this year, how we talk about, a lot of people who are starting to buy glass pens also because they want to try out a lot of the inks.
Yeah.
And it's easy to clean the glass
Yeah.
pen. It's easy to switch inks. So would you say that you're one of these people that, glass pens, obviously they're pretty, but they also are useful because you can swap out these inks. And you can also try inks that aren't necessarily good for fountain pens, such as those with like metal dust or...
Right. But then you have some problem even with the metal dust.
So can you tell us a bit about these issues? Have you encountered any?
Yeah, I mean, there's any straightforward ink. I've never had any problem with some glitter inks and some, the metal powder ones. Sometimes you've got to rotate them a little bit to get it on a good spot or whatever. It's not a fountain pen, but it does have the advantage that you can rotate it and you can usually get it to work. But yeah, I've had some of the weird. I mean, I just do a lot of really weird inks. So sometimes some of the weirder inks, they got globs in them, believe it or not.
So is the main issue about getting the ink to flow properly on the paper?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that has been to many people one of the selling points, right? Not just the fact that you can easily clean them and try another ink, but the fact that you can use inks that normally clog up a fountain pen feed. But now there are discussions that suggest that that's not always the case.
Yeah. So I think this discussion started from a glass pen manufacturer called Sase,
Yes.
Which I've bought from before, but they never delivered on my order, so shame on them. But Sase came out with this tweet
Yes.
that was very annoying. And it's easy to imagine like who's writing these tweets, these like oyajis who are like, get off my lawn oyajis, right?
And it wasn't very diplomatic because they used, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was quite, you could tell that they were not happy about the current situation. And although they didn't spell out tone and limbs, it seemed directed. That was my interpretation. It seemed directed at tone and limbs.
Yeah. So what happened was that I think Nikkei wrote an article about inks and glass pens, etc. And so, while Sase, I think they're like a very old company based in Asakusa, and they probably don't read like the Instagram as we do, but they read Nikkei, and Nikkei came out with an article, and so the tweet says, the types of inks that you can use with glass pens are water-based, water-soluble fountain pen inks, and traditional sumi inks.
Yeah.
And what you cannot use with glass pens are inks with glitter, inks that are pigmented. We do not recommend. And they say people who make inks for glass pens that include pigments and shimmer or glitter are people who do not understand glass pens.
It was that sentence and the way it was written that was particularly interesting.
Yes. So, I just want to see how everybody feels about this statement because it seems to go against how the trend in Japan is towards at least glass pens.
Well, it definitely, I'm sure it was aimed at tonal limbs, and I'm not trying to go to bat for them, but one of the things I do like about them is that they're just hanging it out there, and they try some really weird stuff. And you try some really weird stuff. Some of them are going to be home runs, and some of them are going to be
Yeah.
not. You know, and yeah, I've had some inks, particularly some of the inks that are they're dye-based inks with fine pigment and bigger pieces of pigment, which makes a very matte flat, which is very useful with, say, like a folded nib or even like a paintbrush, and they'll hang up. But you just kind of rotate and you fiddle with it. You know, I've got some sitting in a platinum preppy right now that I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to get a hammer to get that out. I mean, so it's definitely not for fountain pens. And even with glass pens, it may be kind of weird, but you kind of go in knowing that. But to say, and then I have had problems with some glitter inks on fountain pens, but again, you just rotate the nib or you just mess with it a little bit, and it kind of comes with that. I think it depends on the fineness of the glitter.
Yeah.
You know, some of it's really fine, and I tend to find that tonal limbs does have really fine glitter. But I don't know. I think they're just taking a hack out there. You know, I mean, I'm not. I'd rather be in a world where someone's pushing it, and I go, yeah, this is not going to work, or this has a little bit of a problem. But yeah.
How do you feel about it? Because you're another Inknuma.
Like, it's fun because I knew like Sase pen. I knew their. I think it's really like traditional glass pen you get in school in Japan or something like that. And I like their vintage
aesthetic.
And maybe it's a good advertisement for them too, because I think this open a conversation, a dialogue with and maybe for some of the new user, they don't know about this brand anymore. Like the people who follow the new glass artists on Instagram who are more active, they do like artwork or very colorful or kawaii glass pen with the ducks at the end, you know, like something really, really like accessories. And maybe for Sase it's kind of to get in the market again. So I think it's quite smart, even it's provocative, because then people will say, oh, who are this guy who just get in this very like even who say they know that people won't agree with them because everyone's loved Tono and Lim. Like everyone's going to Ignuma or this fair, like go for the new limited edition. We are talking about Kobe pen fair, and there is really 5 inks, and everyone's like, we know we all have enough inks, but we say, oh, there's some new. Oh, they have 3 shades of glittering inside. You don't really care if it will destroy your pen or not. You just want to play with it. So maybe it's good. I think it's good.
But I don't think it was. I could be wrong. I don't think it was meant, at least, as a publicity stunt. I think this tweet shows like real frustration on their part, and maybe customers have asked them, you know, why do I have this problem, right? So, yeah, I think it was just frustration on their end.
It's interesting to me that this has really struck a nerve.
Yes.
They got almost 200 like retweets of this. 327 likes as I read this, and it's really struck a nerve. It's particularly funny to me that you can see this is a splinter between the old Oyaji, Black Pen Society and
look at me.
Black Society.
It's the Wagner Inkunuma battle.
Yes. Yeah. Because we got Gary actually. Gary apparently also feels kind of passionate about this. He's an ink maker who dabbles in iron gall, and he came out with some tweets saying, people who are selling glass pens to try all these crazy inks, they should be careful about their wording because it's misleading. And I don't think he's as extreme as Sase, but I think there's clearly a nerve. that was hit there. So I found a tweet by this guy called Inoue Tomohiro, and he actually tried. He did some experiments
And he did
on
his
glass.
illustration, right?
Yes, he did all these illustrations where he tried out glass pens and different types of inks to see whether the ink would go into the
Yeah.
the the kind of
Grooves.
grooves of the pen, and you can clearly see actually from the videos that it's much better with water-based inks than with pigmented inks, for example. So obviously it's not just Tono Lim's Kakimori's inks are also very very popular among the Numas, and I mean if you look at this video,
Yeah,
right?
watch that. Yeah, but
This-
I don't think that's really that's not indicative of how it writes. That's indicative of how it goes up the nib. That's not
Yeah.
indicative how you write down with the nib.
Yeah.
So I think that's misleading.
I mean, it's definitely not how you put ink on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't write to have the ink sucked back up the grooves. I write to have it go down the grooves. So that's one of those things when you're proving a point, and the point isn't what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think that for sure there's this kind of they want to be right kind of attitude, because you would usually just dip the ink, you dip the nib into the ink fully, right? So it would be fully submerged. So this issue that they're talking about wouldn't be as big of an issue as they claim.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
I just, I mean, I totally think that Gary probably strikes the right tone in that there are going to be some weird inks that aren't going to work with your glass pen. They're probably not going to work with many things, And, but that's just kind of like if you're going to buy an ink with metal filings in it, use your brain. Don't put it in your fountain. I mean, your fountain pen, and you may have some problems with it because it's got metal filings in it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
That's the name of the game.
Yeah. So, but yeah, perhaps maybe it ought to be, this ink is very unusual or something, but maybe striking a tone like that. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I've gotten some, regular inks that I put in my fountain pens that don't work very well.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these really thin inks that are just super dry. Like we were just talking about, you can put ink in a eyedropper, turn it upside down, and hold it, and no
And
ink
it
will
doesn't
come
come
out.
out.
You
Yeah.
don't have to worry about it dripping on your table because it just gets stuck up in there from the surface tension. So should they put a warning on that this ink will not work on some eyedropper pens?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think for me, what is the most curious is how this puts certain retailers who straddle both the Ink Numas and the kind of old, Black Pen Society people. And the one that I think is most indicative of this is Tomoko's Rikito, because she's in partnership, kind of, right, with Mori-san.
Yeah, true.
And Mori-san is like the face of Black Pen Society.
Right.
What do you call it? The Black Pen
Yeah,
Society?
Black Pen Society.
Are you a full-fledged member, Jacob?
Well, I feel like Morrison has sort of left that because he's realizing that he can sell a lot of shimmering inks. But yeah, at least up until recently, he was clearly in that camp.
And I mean, Tomoko clearly has a lot of connections with the old kind of crowd, while her main audience in terms of sales is the Ink Numa. So she put out a tweet on this as well, doing some experience where she was kind of very diplomatic about it.
Yeah, she did this test that she tried to clean the pens, right, with and without like pen flush and so on.
Yeah, and I think her conclusion was that with pigment inks, it's still harder to clean the pens, and they don't come out, so you have to use like a toothbrush to kind of really get all the ink out. So it was kind of a non-answer to this whole thing, but I think it's kind of indicative how there's now a bit of a split between the Ink Numa crowd and the Black Pen Society crowd, whereas previously the split was mostly in their their consumer behavior, but now it's much more visible with this tweet coming out from Sase of all people. So that was the glass pen drama that we had. I want to spend some time actually also to talk about Eboya because we didn't talk too much about Eboya last time, but they came out with two new models.
Yes.
One of the new models was we already knew about previously from Instagram. Which
the Plumix.
yes, the Plumix model.
Yes.
Exactly what it was.
And then the other model was their new eyedropper model.
Yes.
So, Jacob, I know you love Eboya and you've spoken with Endo-san several times. You own
Right.
how many Eboyas? Two?
Only two of them.
Yeah, you own two Eboyas. Talk to me about Eboya.
Well, so first of all, I completely forgot to talk to him and visit their table during tips, which I regret now. We just didn't have that much time. But the background here is that up until a few years ago, Eboya sold these pens with the Japanese-style Inkidome eyedroppers, and they had custom feeds and so on. And then the guy who made those, Kanesaki-san, he left, and since then they have sold just simple cartridge converter pens with Jobo and nib units. And there's been this, they have been teasing, the return of the Inkidome eyedropper.
Right, and we asked them a few times even last year during Nagahara's visit to Boombox, right? And then Endo-san was outside of Boombox, and you asked him about the Inkidome.
Yeah, we asked him several times, and Endo-san has said that we have some prototypes. It's going to be most likely the bamboo model first, and it's coming soon, maybe even this year. That was actually last year. So
that was last year in April.
Yeah. So to me, this new model called Yuzen, I think.
Yeah, Yuzen.
The biggest disappointment is what this model isn't. It's not a Japanese style eyedropper that many people have been hoping for. It's just a normal eyedropper where you just pour ink into the barrel and there's no shut-off valve.
And I have to say that you could do this with the existing models
Absolutely.
of Eboya already.
Yeah.
So the difference is that the section, right, there's threading that goes into the barrel. So there's the threading, and then there's an extra tube of ebonite there,
Yes.
which is a bit longer than the regular section, and that's it.
And it's quite expensive, so I'm not sure if you even can use cartridge converters. So it wasn't clear to me, but it's just a number 5 size nib, and it's still 40,000 yen, I believe.
Yeah. Either of you Eboya fans?
Do I have what?
Are you Eboya fans?
Yeah, I have two of them myself.
Yeah.
I love their pens, but if they wanted to do anything that would really make me happy, it's just
Ebonite feed.
Yeah, that would make me happy because I like all their pens. And as far as whether or not it's a Japanese style inky, I mean, those are niceties.
But that actually goes together because we may have talked about that before, but Endo-san has told me that they have, not newly made, but they have from the Kanesaki area, they have these ebonite feeds. The idea was to
put them together with the
Inkidomes, right? So they're waiting to sell them until they have the Inkidome eyedropper. So I think this one does not have ebonite feeds because it's not an Inkidome eyedropper.
That I would be in line for, and Japanese style Inkidome with ebonite feed. Yeah, I'd line up for that.
Yeah, for me, what confuses me is why they basically released pens that they already had with like a little bit longer section, like which you cannot even see. And then, and that just confuses me because it's not new. It's something that we could do before, and
my worry is what this means for the Inkidome plan. This just means is this still coming, or have they given up on that?
Yeah, because they kind of wasted their time on this, right? Because they knew what everybody wanted. Everybody wanted ebonite feeds. Everybody wanted Inkidome, right? Because I can buy a Prepri and eyedropper that.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just super annoying how they just wasted everybody's time. Like, we're gonna have an eyedropper model, and they came out with this. It's just a bit disappointing. But
maybe it's the COVID thing, though. I don't mean
maybe, but they're up in Arakawa their shop is actually quite remote. I've been there a few times. It could be because of the COVID thing, but they were saying that they were making this from last year in April.
But I mean, your audience, like if you're going to come up with a pen that everybody loves, you want it to be a big seller. And if you don't have a lot of people going, to the pen show or to your show or to your store itself, maybe, you want it to where it'll be a huge success if you're going to do something like that.
That's interesting.
But I don't think the Arakawa shop is brings them much business. I think they're selling a lot online. I think that they're shipping a lot to Europe, like Sakura, Fountain Pen Gallery, and so on. Yeah, other events that may be true, but I think the Arakawa shop, that's just sort of a fun thing.
I think that you actually raise a very interesting point. My counter argument would be that they should just not have released anything, because this is kind of, in a way, it's kind of insulting to your customers. It's not that, like, I'm not unhappy with them. It's just, why? Nobody asked for this, so that's the main issue. But then their Plumix model, Jacob, you said you found it interesting, right?
I think it looks funny. I wouldn't get it myself. It's a fun pen. I've heard a lot of people saying good things about it, that they're interested in it.
Is it $400 good?
Not for me, but maybe for someone else.
It was sold out, right?
Yeah, I think the Plumix pen got a large reception actually from the Japanese crowd. Yeah.
It's just beautiful ebonite, and it's just hard to resist beautiful ebonite,
And that's what we like about EBOS, right? I mean, the craftsmanship is just perfect, impeccable.
yeah.
And the ebonites, I mean, I don't know anyone who makes ebonites.
That's shiny.
Yes,
Yeah.
shiny, right? And the colors, beautiful pens,
Yeah.
very well made.
All right. So, moving on from EBOS, have you all seen the new Shikiori's?
The what?
The new Shikiori pens from Sailor. Do I hear temptation in your voice?
No, only because I'm broke from tips, but yeah, I can see that. I like that they are still being innovative, and this matte finish is another new thing.
With
pilot, pay attention.
And also with the clear finials.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, these pens I think are very nice. My question mark is the price.
But Sailor's pricing is increasingly confusing. So I think I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think the new Skioris are more expensive than
The Prophet 21.
Yeah, but also more expensive than I think like Earth and Ocean, but not Sky. It's just like why?
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about an update from you later from Sailor, but I agree. I mean, this pen is 30,000 Japanese yen. That's I mean, it's more expensive than some full-size models. And
It's a Pro Gear Slim, right?
it's a Pro Gear Slim. They chose to do it with a 21K.
Wait, is it the Slim? I didn't realize.
It's a Slim, yeah.
Usually the Shikiori
Shikioris are
collection
slims.
slim.
Yeah.
I think it's like
double the price.
Yeah.
But the 21 karat nib is the kicker there.
It's 21K nib, small size, but it's bicolor. And it's confusing to me because the old Shikioris, they're like $100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're gonna
double the price,
triple.
yeah.
It's
But the old Skioris, are they 14 or 21?
They're 14.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't tell the difference. I mean, of course, 21, it looks nice, but I don't know. The Prophet 21s are full size 21 karat. I guess they're not bicolored, but still, it's quite a hefty price increase.
They're beautiful. I really like them.
They are.
Yeah.
I like the color combinations.
It reminds some of the cocktail collection. This.
Then
I think it's more expensive than Khuê Azur.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Then moving on to as we talk about Sailor and price increases, has everybody seen the new Luminous Shadow? Okay. Dick, why don't you tell us about this luminous shadow?
Right. So this is well, you found this from some Chinese Weibo or whatever it was. So I don't know if we have any official sources, but it looks like a new Sailor model. It's not just another Profit or Pro Gear base, but it's actually the shape is different. It's something all new.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it has a King of Pen size nib, and it's a black ion plated King of Pen size nib, which I think they've never done before. And it has this very sort of colorful acrylic.
Yes.
Which
and that's rare too because all of their pens are injection molded, and this is hand turned acrylic.
Yes. There's a lot of new things going on here. It's a bold move for Sailor.
Yeah, it's definitely a bold move for Sailor, but they kept it as a cartridge filled pen. Now
I was expecting, I think.
we were speaking about price increases, but I mean this pen, it's expensive.
Ouch.
It's more than $1,000.
I was excited until I saw the price, and then I'm not so excited.
Yeah, it's 110,000 Japanese yen.
Yeah.
And I think there's several reasons this could be. Obviously, like black iron plating could be very expensive. The huge nib, yes, but also I think the main factor in the price is that it's hand turned acrylic, because injection molding really lowers the cost. Whereas if they're making acrylic pens, for them it's something completely new. They might have to have new like tooling and machining for this. What do you guys think about this?
Well, first of all, I'm really happy that Sailor that they do this. Right, I'm so glad to see that they're trying something new, an all new model. There's a lot of good things going on here. My problem with it is that I don't associate colorful acrylics with high-end pens. To me, that is like pen BBS or entry-level custom pens.
Right.
To me,
like $100 pens.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, a high-end pen has like a urushi or wooden or like celluloid or whatever magic, the classic pens, LB5, diffusion bond or whatever. That is sort of the finish on a high-end pen, or even like metal like that Mont Blanc. I can never remember the name on the metal Mont Blanc pen.
The Martellet.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it doesn't to me look like a high-end pen, and yet it's more expensive than a Pilot Custom Urushi.
It's more expensive than the Sailor Urushis. It's more expensive than Pilot Maquette, no? I mean, it's around the same ballpark.
Yeah. So, and it may well be that this is actually what people like, and that I'm getting old and out of touch with the market. But it doesn't look that like a high-end pen. That's my problem.
Yeah. And my other concern is what this says about their profitability. It can't be profitable to make a new model, right? Because when you make a new model, there's significant investment in terms of research and development, and to get this pen to profitability probably take at least a few years. And considering it's so expensive, because they need to make the pens. Maybe they've got a margin of 40 to 50%. Sounds fair. 40 50% profit margin. They would need to sell 2 years on a 50% sell-through model to be profitable for one batch. Anyways, I mean, this model, one of the things is that it doesn't look like a Sailor either, right? It looks like, as you said earlier, for me, the green one looks like my Twisby Aurora.
Twisby, yeah.
I was pretty excited, but that's.
But one thing about these acrylic models with a lot of chatoyancy is it can be hard to tell from the photo, right? So maybe you see it in person and you rotate the pen and it's going to look fantastic.
That's true.
But then there's just so many like smaller companies that are just making pens that are
with better acrylics.
With yellow nib holders that are making just fantastic acrylics, and they're going to be competing with those guys. and those guys sell their pens for $150.
Yeah.
You know, granted it's a steel nib, but still.
I'm excited that they're trying new stuff. I think this is not the stuff they needed to try.
Well, it's a new stuff that I'm not included in. That's why
Yeah.
I'm not as excited, because that's just something that's out of my price range.
Not enough glitter for me.
Not enough gluten-free.
I'm still happy that they're doing this. I
Yeah.
hope
course,
it does
yeah.
well.
All right. Going on along that, you have an update for us, Jacob.
Well, it's sort of a minor one, but I saw that Sailor released their latest quarterly report, and I just skimmed through it a bit quickly. So first of all, their sales are their stationary sales are down like 14 or 15% year over year, so they're still not doing well. And the robotics division has such a small profit now that it doesn't make up for that. So the firm as a whole is losing money right now. And
Just what I like to hear.
and also we see that the CB has not been exercised yet because it's still sitting there on their balance sheet as a fixed liabilities. We know that has not happened yet. When they explain the reason for the results, it's not just Corona, but they also specifically mention the increased gold prices as one of the difficult factors right now. At the same time, they're saying that sales are down for everything except Kinpen, except gold nib pens, which seemed inconsistent. But yeah, they say that the gold price going up is a problem, but yet the gold nib pens are actually what's still selling.
I think that's I didn't read this report, but I think that's in line with what I imagined for Sailor, because their steel nib pens are not that good.
But yet they're saying, so there's one section where they talk about their focus areas from now on, and one of their focus areas is specifically steel nib pens.
Oh, really?
And that's what I think exactly the direction they should not go in, because steel nib pens are dominated by Pilot and Platinum. I mean, they've got this huge monopoly. You can try to break in there, but I mean, why? Because people love the Pro Gears. People love like these colorful stuff. They have something that they're really good at doing.
But if they anticipate that gold prices are continuing to go up, then there might be a big problem for them, right? And maybe they need an alternative. We know they're selling steel nib pens in Japan. The Pro Color, you rarely ever see the Pro Color. The only steel nib pen that you sometimes see is Fude Mannen, because some of the Inkunuma people like the Fude Mannen. Other than that, it's
Prophet Junior maybe.
There's also there's a calligraphy version of High Ace Neo.
I have no idea what that is.
The very slim one, the entry level one. But yeah, you don't see a lot of steel nib sellers.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Obviously, they know their business more than I do, so we'll see how that goes. I can't say I'm too hyped about that new direction, but let's see. Okay. Finally, we've got just some more quick topics. Kobe Ink Show is this weekend.
Yes.
We're not going, so we don't know.
Did you call it Kobe Ink Show?
Kobe pen show.
Did I call it?
I got you on that.
Kobe Pen Show. Okay, Pen Show's
You're a secret Inkanuma.
yeah. So Kobe Pen Show this weekend. None of us are going.
But based on the photos we've seen on Instagram, I
It's
think
basically
Kobe
an
Ink
ink show.
Show is probably more accurate.
Yeah. And the Pono limbs, we hate to talk about them, but we love to talk about them at the same time. They're coming up with a lot of different new inks, and honestly, it's just a waste of time to list them out, because they came out with like 20 inks yesterday, and 5 of them in particular are an interesting concept.
From what I understand, it's like there are 5 times of the day, and each ink was made in collaboration with one, let's say, glass artist or
Vendor.
Or vendor, yeah. And they seem like really nice sunset shading with 3 or 4 type of glittering inside, and And yeah, we're really curious to see if they will release them after the show, like at least in online or inside Japan. Because yeah, it seems like a new level of glittering, shimmering, shading ink. And yeah, they seems really magical, like a unicorn.
Yeah, I do particularly like the Lichtop one, which I think is the star.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about that one.
Yeah, the 5 p.m.
Yeah, I do like that one. It does look really really nice. I won't be getting it because I'm on a Tono Limbs boycott right now. I think they should not release like it's just too much, too saturated. But definitely, you can't fault them for doing interesting things.
But yeah, I'm now having to like shovel out all the bottles of tonal limbs I've got.
Yeah.
But so one problem I have is that when you you see someone talk, you read somewhere someone is doing a review about an ink or somewhere, and you want to get that ink. Usually, or in many cases, that ink doesn't exist anymore. So, for example, Alesa, you mentioned the pigmented inks, the fixation line.
Mm-hmm.
I went on Amazon, couldn't find them anymore.
But you can get them from the shop.
From Locomotive, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do exist because it's still on the line list.
Right, but I remember seeing all of them on Amazon at one point, and they were gone now. I think there's so much rotation now that the inks. If you compare with something like pilots like Yamabudo or like Eternal Blue or whatever, you don't have these sort of inks that stays from one year to another, right? It's like the soft drinks you buy in the convenience store. There's a new one every month.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
the new teas or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's how they play on it. Like they release, like there's this original line from Tono and Nim, and then all this collaboration who has kind of very short batches. And what they do is like every week, like every 3 days, you have new inks, new inks, new inks. So you have to be either really fast and really following them if you really want to, I don't know, collect them. All.
Oh God, no.
But their basic line is really boring. I don't know if you've seen their basic line. It's super boring. I don't know why they keep that in stock.
I don't know.
It's really
I actually like their the basic line with the Tokyo. I think that's a really nice blue.
Yeah.
And I like their Kyoto, and I think I got the Yamanashi as well.
Yeah.
Yamanashi is the blue one.
But I think you're right though. They just have like they make a bunch, and then I think they put a lot of their like when they have a lot of stock of something, they put it on Amazon.
Yeah.
But the stores get I think first choice, and then if they've got leftovers, they stick it. But their Amazon list is very very spotty.
Yeah. And then you also mentioned to us before the show new Lennon Toolbar bottles.
Yeah.
Leave it to Khuê, man. She knows all the good things.
So thanks to like I had to say hello to two friends who really love inks, and we always try to find new bottles, new shapes, and so there is Camille Vamika, who is a Swiss illustrator, who is one of my I think best buyer in Switzerland. She used all the inks to do very nice illustration and art, like art drawings, paintings. So you have to check her accounts, really nice. And she fall in love with Lennon Toolbar because I sent her a bottle of the water blue, this really light blue that she uses in her paintings a lot. And then she found that they released this new bottle shape, kind of fatty, brutalist diamond. And Jane Campbell, who is a very active Instagrammer in wax seal and in nib grinding, testing inks and stuff, and she always looking for new bottle shape. So hello to both of them. And the color seems really nice, really pigmented, I guess, from what we can see on the picture. There's no samples yet, but I
They
guess
look like pigment inks.
Yeah, the orange looks very pigmented.
That's really interesting because I have two of their pigmented inks in the atmospheric series, and they are absolutely fantastic. Some of my favorite pigmented inks. So I may have to order some of these from Just Spirit.
Yeah, I think we will make a group order because both the shape and the color seems really nice. Even the packaging of the box seems really beautiful.
The shape kind of reminds me of like nail polish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I think really the next stationery mecca is probably Taiwan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe Japan has it's almost, I don't want to say run its course, but I feel like a lot of stuff that people are doing are like repetition. Even Tona Limbs is repeating what they've done before.
They're Korean though, right?
Yeah, they're kind of like a Korean-Japanese collaboration. I think it's a collaboration between Okamotoya and Colorverse. But you know, Taiwan, they're doing stuff that's like nobody's really doing, even in their packaging. I feel like it's very Japanese inspired, but also very like unique locally. So we're gonna keep an eye out on that.
That's actually, when you're saying Taiwan, that's probably the next what I'm waiting for to go to once the pandemic's over.
The Tainan Pen Show.
Yeah, the Tainan
Yes.
Pen Show. That is so. Stop off at Taipei, go to all the stationery stores there, and then go on.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
even in the if you take it larger in the stationery field, Taiwanese artists like rubber stamp, wax seal, they are really really good.
Sleep, the
Yeah.
really nice stationery store.
Jamil Garden, Lim Channing, they are so good.
All right, and then do we want to talk about AliExpress?
I think I did because I saw someone posting on Instagram. I thought it was the Mont Blanc M, but then as we talked last time, I don't know, maybe to post, because you had this
The
solitaire,
F9, yeah.
the one with the snake copy,
Right.
and I just saw the copy, the Mont Blanc M, but it's like identical.
Is it also by Moonman?
No, I don't think so. I cannot find the post anymore, but I have to check already. But it's like an identical Mont Blanc M by AliExpress.
There's
They even have the Edelweiss,
really?
the print. This one on
that's too close.
So I was like, what?
There's also a Lame Dialogue clone all over AliExpress, but I can't tell what the brand name is because the problem, as we talked about before with AliExpress, is that it's just a
They don't have brands.
translating keyword soup,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know who makes it, but that seems to be a new model.
All right. So I think that closes up the show for today.
Yep.
Mr. Mori is at Kobe Pen Show today, so we hope that he's able to sell more pens than he was able to at Tokyo International Pen Show. But we'll come back with some more bashing in 2 weeks.
As always.
Yeah. And so thank you everybody for listening. I said it earlier in the show, but I'll say it again. Thank you everybody. The show is free, and you can contribute to us by writing a review, giving us some comments, telling your friends, telling your family members, telling a workplace friend. During the pandemic, I think we're all spending a lot of time at home, and let us talk to you about stationery during this difficult time, and help you forget about some stresses in life. And if we're able to do that, then I think all of us are very happy. So with that said, my name's CY. You can find me on my website at tokyostationpens.com, on Instagram at tokyostationpens, and on Twitter at tokyostationmnh.
And my name is Jacob. I'm Foodafan on Instagram and on Twitter, and I have a blog at foodafan.com.
Thanks for having me again. My name is Khuê, and you can find me on Instagram at miraikat.
And thanks for having me too. I'm Alesa, and I'm Inky Rocks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.